Two young drivers, the exact same behavior, two completely opposite reactions from the fans. One gets cheered, one gets booed, and Joey Logano is living proof of which side you land on. From the seat of the man he used to fight with, Logano broke down why NASCAR forgives one driver and never forgets another. With Kevin Harvick out, Joey Logano filled in as the host on the Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour podcast. The setup itself carried weight because Logano was sitting in the chair of a veteran he battled and angered when he was 19 years old. From that seat, he connected three stories that define this moment in the NASCAR Cup Series: his defense of rookie Connor Zilisch, the double standard surrounding Carson Hocevar, and the wreck at Sonoma with Denny Hamlin that tested the entire argument in real time. Start with Connor Zilisch. He is a 19-year-old rookie driving car number 88, a driver hyped as the next big thing coming out of the lower series. The reality of his season has been harder than the hype. He is fast and he can run up front, but he has not been able to string a clean race together. He entered the stretch of the schedule with 3 last-place finishes in a row and then finally broke through with a 7th-place result at Sonoma, the first top 10 finish of his Cup career. The low point came in San Diego, where he was running inside the top 3 before contact with Austin Hill sent him to a did-not finish. Joey Logano made his case for patience. He called Zilisch a talent who simply needs time and repetitions. Connor's an amazing talent, he's great, but a diamond in the rough at the moment, Logano said. He added he just needs to be around long enough, and I think that's the big thing for young talent coming in these days, is they have to give them a chance. The argument carried extra weight because Logano nearly did not make it himself. He said he almost lost his career until Team Penske gave him a second chance in 2013 after heavy criticism during his time at Joe Gibbs Racing. The man telling fans to be patient is the living example of why patience matters. Logano then made his strongest point, one built on his own experience. The jump from the O'Reilly Series to the Cup Series is the largest jump in motorsports, period, he said. He backed it up with a vivid admission about his own rookie mindset. Logano recalled that he used to look at the drivers running at the back every week and think he could beat them, and then he watched those same drivers lay 2 black marks off the corner and realized he could not keep up with them. The takeaway is concrete. Struggling in the NASCAR Cup Series does not mean a driver lacks talent, because it is the steepest learning curve in racing. That sets up the contradiction at the center of everything. Carson Hocevar is 23 years old and drives car number 77 for Spire Motorsports. He is not the most popular driver inside the garage, yet his popularity outside of it keeps climbing, and he is increasingly viewed as the marketing face of the sport. Before delivering any critique, Logano was fair about the talent. He agreed with Kyle Larson that the ability is real, but the maturity is not there yet. I'd agree he's got a ridiculous amount of talent, Logano said, describing Hocevar as wicked, fast at any racetrack. Logano also leaned into the generational gap for laughs. I think Carson's great for the sport, he said, and he continued, I think he brings a ton of new fans, different fans. Then came the honest admission of the age difference. I don't know what he's talking about half the time. I don't know what these words mean, Logano said, noting that fans love it anyway and that this is good for the sport. Here is the actual double standard. When Joey Logano had run-ins with veterans at 19 years old, he was branded a villain, and he is still booed for those moments today. Carson Hocevar wrecks more competitors, shrugs it off, gets dumped back, and does not care, and fans love him for it. Logano summed up the contrast in one line that has followed the conversation ever since. This kid comes in and wrecks way more people than I ever did, and people love him, he said. And then he asked the question that the entire video hinges on: how does this happen? What am I missing? So what explains the flip? There are a few concrete possibilities to weigh. One is the era in which social media rewards the driver who broadcasts an attitude of not caring. Another is that Logano picked his fights with beloved figures like Kevin Harvick, which shaped how fans remember him. A third is simply the personality difference between the two eras of young drivers. That leads to the emotional and credible core of Logano's message, the warning he gave Carson Hocevar. Logano's advice was learned the hard way. The wildcard style bites you eventually, and he pointed out that he and Hocevar have already had on-track contact that they had to talk through afterward. His most direct line drew the map of how the sport handles a driver like that. Logano explained that some people will take the contact and do nothing about it, and then there are certain drivers who are going to do something about it, and you figure out which ones those are pretty quickly. Then he pivoted to the big picture. Logano said the real question a young driver must answer is what he wants to accomplish, whether that is winning a race here and there or winning championships, and that the championship game has to be played all the way through an entire season. He tied it directly to his own record. "I've cost myself, I think, at least a championship," Logano said, framing his aggressive younger self as the reason. The full circle button on the segment is that Logano delivered all of this from the chair of Kevin Harvick, the exact veteran he used to be a problem for. He is now a three-time champion, passing along the lesson he wishes someone had handed him at 23. The Sonoma wreck tested whether the villain reputation is even fair. Fans instantly blamed Carson Hocevar, so the question is whether the data agreed. On lap 64 at Sonoma, Denny Hamlin spun, dropped from 6th to the rear of the field, and finished 26th. The TNT broadcast, along with much of the internet, pinned it on Hocevar in real time. The twist is that Hamlin still gained ground in the standings, moving to first and holding a 1-point lead over his own 23-11 racing driver Tyler Reddick, with 8 races remaining before the chase field is set. Then Denny Hamlin refused to scapegoat him. On his own podcast, Actions Detrimental, Hamlin said the data was too messy to lock in on one person, and he split the blame roughly evenly among car number 77, driven by Hocevar, car number 6, driven by Brad Keselowski, and car number 48, driven by Alex Bowman, describing a 4-car train of pushing and shoving. Hamlin explained that intent usually shows up in the data and the direction of the steering wheel, and it did not point to reckless intent from Hocevar. "Yes, Carson could have done a better job, but I don't think that he came into the corner with reckless abandonment," Hamlin said, calling the incident a racing deal. When asked whether he would blame a single driver, Hamlin said it would be grossly irresponsible. Analyst Steve Letarte backed that up on his podcast, NASCAR Inside the Race. He described the chain reaction in order, with the number 48 shoving the number 6, the number 6 shoving the number 77, and the number 77 turning the number 11. The blame quickly gets pointed to Carson Hocevar. "I think it's a little clearer to me that the blame is on other drivers and maybe just road course racing in general," Letarte said. He used a highway analogy that fits the situation exactly, explaining that when you hit the car in front of you, you get the speeding ticket, you get the infraction, and Carson Hocevar is going to get the ticket here, even though the shoving started behind him. Carson Hocevar gave his own account to reporter Marty Snyder after the race. He said he got turned and was protecting himself from being spun, especially after being spun the week before, that he was watching his mirror the entire time and that he looked up only to realize he was into Denny Hamlin. He even joked that he praised Hamlin so heavily afterward that he half expected to be accused of sports fixing. He apologized and insisted the contact was not intentional. The payoff is direct. The driver who got wrecked and a respected analyst both defended Hocevar, which suggests the villain label is built more on reputation than on the facts of that specific wreck, and that is the same double standard Joey Logano described, only flipped in Hocevar's favor. So is Logano right? The pattern holds together. The NASCAR Cup Series has always been steep and unforgiving on rookies, which ties directly back to Connor Zilisch and Logano's line about the biggest jump in motorsport. What changed is not the difficulty, it is the audience, because social media era fans reward personality and indifference, while Logano's era punished it. The irony is that Logano is asking fans to give Zilisch time and asking why Hocevar receives grace, and both requests are the same plea for patience toward young drivers, a plea Logano himself never received. The broader point sits underneath all of it because NASCAR's development path is chaotic, and the drivers who received time and second chances, from A.J. Allmendinger to Michael McDowell to Zane Smith, are the ones who made it. That leaves one open question to hand back to the fans. Is Carson Hocevar getting a pass that Joey Logano never got, or did Logano simply make different enemies? And there is a real test coming, because the first time Hocevar wrecks a beloved driver like Chase Elliott for a win, the sport will find out whether all that love flips overnight.